Hello everyone, welcome back to another new video. In this video, we are going to discuss about cost auditing standards which are relevant for final as well as intermediate students. So final के लिए important बहुत ज़्यादा है क्योंकि यहाँ से क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है एंड इंटरमीडिएट में एमसीक्यू में या फिर छोटा कोई क्वेश्चंस पूछा जा सकता है from cost auditing standards. So this video relevant for final as well as intermediate students. And मैंने क्या किया है, मैंने एंटायर कॉस्ट ऑडिटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स फ्रॉम 101 टू 104 को अच्छे से एकदम कंपाइल करके आप लोगों के लिए एक नोट्स रेडी किया है. तो आई होप आप लोगों को ये बहुत फायदा देगा एंड यू विल गेट दीज नोट्स फ्रॉम माय वीडियो डिस्क्रिप्शन एज वेल. ओके, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट टुडेज वीडियो, दैट इज कॉस्ट ऑडिटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स. द फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड्स that we are going to learn and understand, that is cost auditing standard 101, planning and audit of cost statement. Planning and audit of cost statement. Now, what are the purpose of these standards? The purpose of these standards to guide the cost auditor in planning the audit so that the cost statements are examined efficiently, effectively, and in a risk sensitive manner. So the purpose is very clear, to planning the audit so that cost statements are examined efficiently, effectively, and risk sensitive manner. Now, what are the key concepts which are relevant for these standards? First is pre-audit checks. So the first thing, that ensure appointment is valid. So you all know that before appointment of cost auditor, we need to check this compliance, right? Like letter received, legal format is done or not. For cost auditor, we need to have, filing the form CRA 2, right? That the time limit, that is within 180 days from the start of the financial year, or 30 days of his appointment, whichever is earlier. So we have read all these things in our section 148 of the Companies Act 2013 chapter, right? Next is check all the ethical compliance has been done or not, like independence, his objectivity, no conflict of interest should be there. Understand the terms of reference like units, products, and scope. These are also important. That is depends on the sector to sector, for which sector you are going to appoint, right? That is also important. Next is involvement of audit team. Now, in these topics, that audit partner and team members must participate in planning discussions. Second is use prior knowledge of the business and previous audits. That is also important. Next is overall audit strategy. Now, in these topics, we need to define the scope, timing, and direction. So that defines the scope, timing, and direction. That is important. Now, these are influenced by many factors like business complexity, audit deadlines, previous issues if they are available resources, and reliance on internal or statutory audit. So these should be taken into consideration while planning the audit, right? Next is detailed audit plan. Detailed audit plans includes nature, timing, extent of what? Nature, timing, extent of risk assessment, audit procedures, and supervisory roles. So these are important, right? So if you studied in your own way, you can also understand that ये सब जो टॉपिक यहाँ पे लिखा गया है, we already know in our intermediate syllabus of audit chapter. But because we are going to emphasize on cost auditing standards, so these standards are again redraft as per the cost auditing standards, right? Next is updating the plan. Now, what do you mean by updating the plan? The audit plan and strategy are not static. You need to update based on what? Based on audit evidences that we are going to found, changes in business, and any new risk identified. If there is any new risk, then we need to update that kind of plans. Next is initial audits. Next topics. That is additional steps, that contracting previous auditor. If any requirement, then we need to contact the previous auditors, reviewing the past reports, ensuring clarity on opening balances and cost records. That is also important, right? Next is documentations requirement. So strategy, audit plan, any changes made during the audit and rationale for changes must be properly documented. So these all things should be properly documented. So with this, we are going to complete the cost auditing standards. These standards are very easy. You should read once from the institute maths, and after that, if you watch my video, you will be ready to go for your exams. and I am prepared these notes so that you will be able to recapitulate these things very easy way. So first thing is that cost auditing standards on planning and audit of cost statement. So that cost auditing standard 101 deals with planning and audit of cost statement. ये एमसीक्यू में भी पूछा जा सकता है, इंटर के लिए भी, फाइनल के लिए भी। तो आप लोगों को ये याद होना चाहिए कि 101 डील्स विद प्लानिंग एंड ऑडिट ऑफ कॉस्ट स्टेटमेंट्स, राइट। मैंने क्या किया, उसके बाद मैंने पर्पस को अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया, उसके बाद की कंसेप्ट एंड प्रोसीड्यूर को वन बाय वन एक्सप्लेन किया विथ ऑल ऑफ यू। आई होप इट विल वेरी मच क्लियर टू all of you, right? Next topic is cost auditing standard on 102, that is cost audit documentation. That is cost audit documentation, that is again very important. Now what are the purpose? To ensure audit work is recorded systematically and transparently, forming a robust evidence trail to support conclusion and audit opinions, right? Next, what are the concepts coverage over here? That is definitions. Now, audit documentation is nothing but working papers and audit evidences that we are going to found during that audit procedures, and audit procedures recorded in physical or in electronic form. Nowadays, everything in electronically, right? Next, why documentation matters? That is very much important. To assist the audit planning, the team supervision and accountabilities, quality control review, peer review, or QRB inspections. So for this purpose, audit documentation is very much important to assist audit planning, team supervision, quality control review, peer review, right? Next is what are the content of documentation? क्या क्या contents रहेगा documentation में? Compliance checklist like laws, cost accounting standards, generally accepted accounting principles, audit programs like for materials, what are the programs that are scheduled for labors, for overheads, one by one. Analytical review is also documented. Query logs is also documented. Letter of representations. The letter of representation is also documented. Management correspondence is also documented. Risk register is also documented. Next is abstract from cost record is also required to document, right? Next is minimum documentation should include. Now, what is the minimum documentation that should include? Minimum documentation should include audit plan, appointment letter, notes from client discussion, internal control checks, and conclusions and professional judgments that are made. So that is the minimum documentation that are include, right? Next is documentation ethics. Now, documentation ethics cover oral explanations, do not substitute the written documentations. That is also important. So we need to check whether oral explanation are not going to suppress the written documentations. Must identify who did what and who reviewed when and why. That is also important, right? Next is it deviations occur. If deviation occur, document the reason of for departing from and standards on cost auditing procedure and what was done instead of that. तो अगर डेविएशन हो रहा है तो हम लोग को वो क्या करना चाहिए, क्यों डिफर कर रहा है, उसको हम लोग आइडेंटिफाई करना चाहिए इन कंपेयर टू स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन कॉस्ट ऑडिटिंग, एंड उसका रीजन भी हम लोग को ऑब्टेन करना चाहिए, राइट, और उसको भी डॉक्यूमेंट करना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट इज रिटेंशन एंड ओनरशिप, दैट इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट. Now, documentation must be retained for at least 10 years. Very important from the MCQ point of view. Next, belong to the cost auditors. Obvious, we know that, and unless otherwise stated by law. The documentations are belongs to the auditors unless and otherwise stated by law. So these are complete overview of the cost auditing standards on 102, that is cost audit documentation. I hope it is very much clear to all of you. Next is cost auditing standards 103, that is deals with overall objective of the independent cost auditor and the conduct of an audit. Now, what are the purpose of the same? We need to understand the define fundamental objectives and responsibility of the independent cost auditor while conducting audit as per the standards cost auditing, okay, as per the standards on cost auditing. Now, what are the core objectives? We all know that reasonable assurance. As per the statutory auditor, that is also the same. That is, we need to obtain the reasonable, the auditor will give the reasonable assurance. Now, what do you mean by reasonable assurance? That means not an absolute assurance. Ensure that cost statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, right? Next is compliance. Now, audit must be as per what? Audit must be as per cost auditing standards. GACAP, that is generally accepted cost accounting principles, and companies act and rules. Next is audit report. Now, must be give a true and fair view. Must be give a true and fair view of now true and fair view of what? True and fair view of cost of productions, cost of sales, profit margins, segment or product wise information if applicable. Right? Next, audit ethics and conduct. Now, audit ethics and conduct deals with ethical standards to follow, that is independence, integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, and confidentiality. So audit ethics should be conduct and it should be comply with independence, integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, and confidentiality. Next is professional skepticism. Now, what do we know professional skepticism? The auditor must question and validate everything, not just trust the management blindly. That means we all know that professional skepticism is critical mind, question to the possible misstatement which may be arise, right? So these are all about critical professional skepticism. Next is audit risk. Audit risk consists of three types of risk: inherent risk, control risk, detection risk. So if you study audit very clearly in your intermediate syllabus, you will be fine or you will be able to see that कि ये तो हम लोग already cover up किए हैं हम लोग के intermediate syllabus में, right? क्योंकि all these things are already there. Right now we are just shifted that auditing part from the cost auditing point of view. Next is auditor must design procedures to reduce the audit risk to acceptable low level. To acceptably low level. Auditor must design procedures to reduce the audit risk to acceptably low level. Next point is materiality. Now, what do we mean materiality? Focus on what can influence decision makings or alter the perception of the cost statements. That means materiality. That means which the facts or matters could influence the economic decisions of the management. That is materiality. इफ रिक्वायरमेंट कांट बी मेट, अगर रिक्वायरमेंट मेट नहीं होता है तो हम लोग को क्या करना चाहिए? दैट मींस ऑडिटर को क्या करना चाहिए? हियर ऑडिटर इज कॉस्ट ऑडिटर, दैट इज ऑलवेज kept in mind while reading these cost auditing standards. The auditor must evaluate if the audit objectives can still be met. अगर still be met, अगर met कर रहा है that is okay. If not, then qualified or disclaimer of opinion may be required. तब हम लोगों को क्या करना चाहिए? क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन देना चाहिए या फिर डिस्क्लेमर ऑफ ओपिनियन देना चाहिए, तो वो हम लोगों को देखना होगा, राइट? So with this we have completed this cost auditing standard, that is what? That is 103 overall objective of cost auditor and the conduct of an audit. I hope it is very much clear to all of you. Next, the last standard that is issued by the Institute of Cost Accounts of India, that is Cost Auditing Standard 104, that is deals with knowledge of business, its process and its environment. So that is knowledge of business, its process and its environment. Now next again, what is the purpose? To ensure the auditor deeply understand the client's business, its internal operations, its environment before forming an audit opinion. Very much important. What auditor must understand? Auditor must understand the entity's nature, that is its operation, its input, output, joint byproducts, its wastage, governance and ownership structure, that is also important. Industry environment. Now market dynamics, auditor should understand the market dynamics, regulations, cost drivers, technological trends, cost challenges. Next is cost accounting policies. Now accounting method that used, consistency and deviations, that is also important. Next, performance review system. Performance review system. Now what indicators are used, like KPIs, productivity, budget versus actual. Auditor must assess if these create a bias or pressure that may lead to a misstatement. That is also need to assess by the auditor. Next is internal control. Now entities internal control environment, segregation of duties, fraud detection mechanism. Next, I understand and how the entities identify and mitigate the business risk. That is also need to understand by the auditor. Cost information system, that ERP, that MIS, report, flow of cost data, access control, IT control. Now, evaluate the architecture, data security, software control. Next is identifying the risk of material misstatement based on the subjectivity, economic pressure, and significant transactions. The auditor also need to identify the risk of material misstatement. Next is the documentation, which must include business understanding, flowchart, process map, risk register, control checklist, KPIs, and management reporter. that is used, management report that is used. So with this, we have completed the cost auditing standard, that is 104, deals with what? Knowledge of business, its process and business environment. So we have completed the all cost auditing standards. मैं बस आप लोगों को रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, once we have read the cost auditing standard from the instrument, just watch the video once, twice, thrice as per your requirement. I think it is enough for the final as well as inter students, right? क्योंकि मैंने उसी हिसाब से इसको ड्राफ्ट किया है एंड समराइज किया है. हर स्टैंडर्ड को मैंने पर्पस एंड क्या उसका की डेफिनेशन है, की कंसिडरेशन है जो हम लोगों को याद रखना चाहिए, जो इंपॉर्टेंट है फ्रॉम एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, मैंने उसी हिसाब से आप लोगों के लिए ये नोट प्रिपेयर किया है. आई होप ये बहुत आप लोगों को हेल्प होगा एंड विद इन 15 to 60 मिनट के अंदर शायद ये आप लोगों का वीडियो एक बार अगर देख लेंगे तो पूरा कॉस्ट ऑडिटिंग स्टैंडर्ड आपका ग्रिप में आ जाएगा, राइट? सो just complete the video and I think it will help you for your exam as well as for your own preparation. If any students preparing self, then I think this video very much helpful to you as well, right? So with this, I am signing off today's videos. I hope it will give you an edge and it will give you an overall idea about the cost auditing standards as well. तो आप लोगों का अगर पहले ऑडिट पढ़ा हुआ है या फिर आप लोग अगर प्रैक्टिकल ट्रेनिंग कर रहे हैं तो आप लोगों के लिए बहुत ईजी होगा ये समझना, राइट? क्योंकि ये ऑडिटिंग का एक एग्जैजरेटेड डिफरेंट वर्जन है जहां पे हम लोग कॉस्ट ऑडिटिंग को लेकर बात कर रहे हैं. सो सब टर्मिनोलॉजीज जो हम लोग ऑडिट में सीखे वही सेम यहाँ पे भी अप्लाई होगा. जस्ट यहाँ पे ये याद रखना है कि दैट हेयर ऑडिटर मीन्स कॉस्ट ऑडिटर, हेयर ऑडिटर मीन्स कॉस्ट ऑडिटर, राइट? दैट इज सेक्शन 148 of the Companies Act 2013. So with this, I'm signing off today's videos. God bless you all. Bye bye. Take care and do comment in my comment box. अगर आप लोगों को ये हेल्प हो रहा है तो वैसे ही मैं छोटा छोटा वीडियो बनाते रहूंगा टॉपिक वाइज जो आप लोगों को हेल्प करेगा टू रिवाइज, टू रिकैप्चुलेट द कंसेप्ट इन अ वन गो वीडियोस, राइट? तो अगर आप लोगों को हेल्प हो रहा है तो डू कमेंट इन माई कमेंट. अच्छा लग रहा है, बुरा लग रहा है, जो भी है जस्ट कमेंट इन माई यूट्यूब वीडियोज, राइट? थैंक यू वेरी मच. गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल. बाय बाय. टेक केयर.